Ilya rushed through the crowded terminals of JFK International Airport, his heart pounding as the final boarding call echoed over the speakers for his flight to San Francisco. He was already late, juggling his carry-on and phone, when he spotted an elderly man in a faded Army veteran cap slumped against a wall, clutching his chest and gasping for air. Without a second thought, Ilya dropped his bag and knelt beside him, dialing 911 while shouting for help. Little did he know, this act of kindness would strand him in a nightmare that would change his life forever. The veteran, whose name tag read Robert Hayes, was a grizzled man in his late 60s, with lines etched deep into his face from years of service and hardship. As paramedics arrived and stabilized him, Ilya learned that Robert had been trying to catch a connecting flight to visit his estranged family in Chicago, but a sudden panic attack, triggered by the overwhelming airport noise, had left him disoriented and alone. Ilya stayed by his side, holding his hand through the questions from medical staff, explaining Robert's medications from the veteran's worn wallet. By the time Robert was wheeled away to a nearby clinic, Ilya's flight had departed without him. He sighed, checking his watch. Rebooking would cost a fortune, but the look of gratitude in Robert's eyes made it worth it, or so he thought. As Ilya headed to the customer service desk, the airport's PA system crackled to life with an urgent announcement. Attention all passengers. Due to a security threat, JFK Airport is now under lockdown. All flights are grounded, and no one is permitted to enter or exit the premises until further notice. Panic rippled through the terminals like a wave. People froze, then surged toward gates and information desks, phones lighting up with frantic calls. Ilya's stomach dropped. He pulled out his own phone, but service was spotty, overloaded by the sudden demand. Whispers spread, rumors of a suspicious package, or worse, an active shooter. Security personnel in tactical gear appeared, herding passengers into designated areas. Ilya found himself corralled into Terminal 4's main concourse, a vast space now feeling claustrophobic with thousands of stranded souls. He scanned the crowd for a quiet corner, his mind racing. As a marketing executive for a tech startup, Ilya was used to high-pressure situations, but this was different. He was openly gay, single after a messy breakup, and had been looking forward to the San Francisco trip to clear his head. Maybe even attend a Pride event. Now, stuck here, he felt exposed, vulnerable. That's when he saw Robert again, sitting in a wheelchair pushed by an airport staff member, looking frail but alert. "You," Robert said, his voice gruff but warm. "You're the one who helped me. Name's Robert. I owe you." Ilya smiled faintly, introducing himself as they were both directed to a seating area turned makeshift holding zone. "No O's here," Ilya replied. "Just doing what anyone would." But Robert shook his head. "Not anyone. Most folks these days walk on by." As hours ticked by, the lockdown showed no signs of lifting. Airport officials distributed water and snacks, but tensions rose. Families argued, business travelers paced, and a group of college kids started an impromptu sing-along to lighten the mood. Ilya and Robert ended up side by side, sharing stories to pass the time. Robert opened up about his Vietnam War days, the horrors he'd seen, and the PTSD that still haunted him. "Came back a hero," they said, he muttered, "but felt like a ghost. Lost my wife to cancer 5 years ago, kids scattered. This trip was my shot at reconciliation." Ilya listened intently, sharing his own struggles. Coming out in a conservative Midwest family, the discrimination at his first job, the loneliness of city life. "People see the rainbow flags and think it's all parades," Ilya said softly, "but it's fighting every day for acceptance." Their conversation deepened as night fell, emergency lights casting long shadows. Robert admitted he'd never understood the gay thing, as he put it, raised in an era where it was taboo. "But you, son, you've got heart. More than most straight folks I know." Ilya felt a warmth he hadn't expected. In this chaos, a bond was forming. Rumors evolved. The threat was a bomb scare from a disgruntled employee, tied to labor disputes. Social media, when it loaded, buzzed with debates, some praising heightened security post 9/11, others decrying it as overreach, infringing on freedoms. Ilya checked his Twitter feed sporadically, seeing posts from LGBTQ plus advocates warning about increased profiling in such situations. "Feels like we're all suspects now," he confided to Robert. By midnight, exhaustion set in, but sleep was impossible amid the din. A young mother nearby rocked her crying baby, while an elderly couple bickered about missed medications. Ilya offered Robert his jacket as a pillow, and in return, Robert shared a faded photo from his wallet, him in uniform with his platoon. "Lost half these boys," he said, voice cracking. Ilya touched his shoulder, a simple gesture that lingered. In that moment, amid the societal storm brewing outside, protests against airport policies, media frenzy, Ilya realized this lockdown was exposing raw human connections, forcing confrontations with prejudices. Robert, for his part, began questioning his own biases, sparked by Ilya's quiet strength. As dawn broke, announcements promised updates soon, but delays persisted. The pair grabbed coffee from a vending machine, discussing everything from politics to dreams. Robert revealed he'd voted against gay marriage once, influenced by his church, but now regretted it. "World's changing," he admitted. "Maybe I need to catch up." Ilya nodded, sharing stories of friends disowned by families, the ongoing fight for equality. Their dialogue turned heated when a nearby passenger overheard and interjected, "This ain't the place for that liberal talk." Tensions flared, mirroring broader societal divides, conservatives versus progressives, veteran sacrifices versus modern rights movements. Ilya stood his ground calmly, defending his identity, while Robert surprisingly backed him up. "This man's a hero in his own right," Robert barked. The confrontation diffused, but it left Ilya shaken, grateful for the unlikely ally. The lockdown dragged into its second day, with officials citing ongoing investigations. Helicopters buzzed overhead, and SWAT teams patrolled the perimeters. Inside, the concourse had transformed into a microcosm of society. Alliances formed, conflicts erupted. Ilya and Robert stuck together, navigating the chaos as a unit. Ilya helped Robert with his phone, setting up a video call to his daughter in Chicago. "Dad, are you okay?" she asked, tears in her eyes. Robert assured her, then introduced Ilya. "This young man saved me." The daughter smiled through the screen, thanking Ilya profusely. It was a small victory amid the uncertainty, but it solidified their budding friendship. As supplies dwindled, tempers frayed. A line for bathrooms turned into a shoving match, and security intervened. Ilya witnessed a transgender woman being harassed by a group of men, their slurs echoing. He stepped in, phone ready to record. "Back off, or I'll make sure this goes viral." Robert, wheeling closer, added his voice. "Show some respect. We're all in this together." The harassers backed down, muttering, but the incident highlighted the vulnerabilities of marginalized groups in confined spaces. Online, the lockdown trended, with hashtags like JFK lockdown and airport injustice. Commentators debated, was the response justified, or a sign of paranoia eroding civil liberties? Ilya's own family texted sporadically, his sister worried, his parents distant since his coming out. "Be safe," his mom wrote curtly. It stung, reminding him of unresolved wounds. Robert noticed his mood shift. "Family can be tough," he said. "Mine disapproved when I remarried after the war, said it was too soon." They delved into personal histories. Ilya's ex-boyfriend who cheated, leaving him distrustful. Robert's isolation after retirement, battling depression. "Never thought I'd connect with someone like you," Robert confessed. Ilya chuckled. "Life's full of surprises." Their talks turned introspective, exploring themes of sacrifice. Robert's on the battlefield, Ilya's in everyday battles for authenticity. A press conference streamed on airport TVs. The threat was a hoax bomb call, traced to an anti-government extremist. Relief mixed with anger. Why the prolonged lockdown? Protests formed outside the airport, visible through windows. Activists chanting for transparency. Inside, an impromptu support group emerged, with passengers sharing stories. Ilya spoke up about LGBTQ+ rights, drawing nods and debates. Robert listened, then shared his evolution. Used to think it was a choice. Now, seeing you, it's just who you are. This admission sparked controversy. A conservative passenger argued, society's gone soft, leading to a heated exchange on traditional values versus inclusivity. As evening approached, power flickered, heightening anxiety. Ilya and Robert found a quieter spot near a window, watching planes sit idle on tarmacs. What if this never ends? Ilya wondered aloud. Robert patted his back. It will, and we'll be better for it. Their proximity fostered unspoken tension, a mutual respect bordering on affection. Ilya felt drawn to Robert's resilience, while Robert admired Ilya's compassion. In a society quick to judge, their connection challenged norms, stirring internal conflicts. Robert grappled with his upbringing, questioning if empathy could bridge divides. News broke. The perpetrator was arrested, but secondary threats delayed reopening. Frustration boiled over. A passenger riot nearly erupted, quelled by guards. Ilya shielded Robert during the scuffle, earning a grateful squeeze of the hand. Later, alone in the dim light, Robert asked about Ilya's life goals. Build a family, maybe, Ilya said. Adopt kids. Show them love without conditions. Robert nodded thoughtfully. Sounds noble. Wish I'd been more open with mine. Their dialogue exposed generational gaps, fueling dramatic introspection. By nightfall, exhaustion prevailed, but conversations persisted. A fellow stranded traveler, a young gay man, joined them, sharing coming-out horror stories. Robert's questions were genuine, if clumsy, prompting laughs and tears. The group debated societal progress, marriage equality versus lingering discrimination in employment, healthcare. Ilya argued passionately, we've come far, but backlash is real. Think conversion therapy bans overturned. Robert reflected on his military days, where don't ask, don't tell silenced many. Lost friends to that policy, he said somberly. The exchange highlighted contentious issues, like veteran mental health intersecting with LGBTQ+ rights. Day 3 dawned with tentative optimism. Announcements hinted at phased reopenings, but delays persisted due to backlog inspections. The concourse reeked of unwashed bodies and stale food. Morale plummeted. Ilya and Robert had become inseparable, a beacon for others. They organized a small distribution of remaining snacks, fostering community. Ilya's leadership shone, drawing admiration, while Robert's stories inspired resilience. Yet, underlying tensions simmered. A heated argument broke out nearby. A family man blamed woke culture for societal woes, pointing at Ilya's pride pin. That's why we're in this mess. Division, he shouted. Robert intervened fiercely. This man's kindness saved my life. What's your excuse for hate? The confrontation escalated, drawing a crowd. Security separated them, but words lingered. Ilya felt exposed, his identity weaponized in the chaos. Why does helping someone turn into this? He vented to Robert later. Because fear makes monsters of us, Robert replied wisely. Their bond deepened amid adversity, with subtle touches. A hand on the arm, shared glances, hinting at unspoken emotions. Ilya wondered if it was mere circumstance or something more. Robert, too, felt a pull, challenging his self-image. Media coverage intensified, with reporters interviewing via phone. Ilya spoke anonymously about the human side. We're all vulnerable here. Veterans, families, minorities. His words went viral, sparking online debates on empathy in crises. Critics accused him of politicizing, while supporters hailed the story. Robert watched proudly. You're making a difference. But backlash hit. Homophobic tweets targeted presumed gay heroes, fueling Ilya's anxiety. Society claims progress but scratched the surface. He trailed off. A breakthrough came midday. Partial lifts allowed some flights. But Robert's was cancelled, and Ilya's rebooking fell through. Frustrated, they navigated bureaucracy together. During waits, Robert shared a confession. After the war, I had a buddy. Close, you know? Never acted on it, but wondered. Ilya's eyes widened. This vulnerability cracked Robert's tough exterior. "Sounds like you were denying part of yourself," Ilya said gently. The revelation added layers, turning their story into one of self-discovery amid societal scrutiny. Conflicts peaked when an evangelical group in the terminal held a prayer circle, subtly condemning sinful lifestyles. Ilya felt marginalized, but Robert joined him in walking away. "Faith should unite, not divide," Robert grumbled. Their alliance drew whispers, some approving, others judgmental. Online forums buzzed. Was this forced diversity or genuine connection? The drama underscored broader issues: reconciliation between generations, veterans reintegration, LGBTQ plus visibility in conservative spaces. As evening set, power stabilized, allowing better communication. Ilya video called friends, updating them. "Met this amazing vet," he said, Robert waving hello. Friends teased about romance, but Ilya brushed it off. Yet seeds were planted. Robert called his son, mending fences. Learned a lot from a new friend. The calls highlighted emotional growth, with Ilya confronting his fear of intimacy, Robert his regrets. Night brought reflection. Huddled together, they discussed futures. Ilya's career ambitions, Robert's retirement dreams. "Maybe visit San Francisco sometime," Robert suggested. Ilya smiled. "I'd like that." Their conversation veered into controversy, debating military's LGBTQ plus policies, recent Supreme Court rulings. "Equality's a fight worth having," Ilya asserted. Robert agreed, his views evolving dramatically. On day 4, the lockdown neared its end, with full reopenings promised by evening. But lingering threats kept everyone on edge. Ilya and Robert used the time to explore deeper topics, their connection evolving into quiet affection. Ilya shared his breakup pain. "He left because I wanted commitment, said I was too intense." Robert empathized. "Lost love hurts worst." Their empathy bridged gaps, but societal echoes intruded. A news report on rising hate crimes against LGBTQ plus individuals post-crises. A personal crisis hit. Robert's health dipped. Another panic attack. Ilya coached him through breathing exercises, drawing from his own anxiety battles. "You're safe," Ilya whispered, holding him steady. Passengers watched, some touched, others skeptical. The moment intensified their bond, sparking internal conflicts for Robert. Feelings he'd buried resurfacing. "Never felt this understood," he admitted later. Ilya nodded, heart fluttering. Was this romance budding in unlikely soil? External drama unfolded. Protests outside turned volatile, clashing with police. Inside, opinions divided. Some supported demonstrators demanding accountability. Others feared escalation. Ilya advocated for peaceful change. "Systems fail when we ignore voices." Robert, drawing from war experiences, cautioned against chaos. Reform, not revolution. Their debate mirrored national divides, adding kitsch tin to their story. Mid-afternoon, a breakthrough. Ilya secured rebookings for both. But Robert hesitated. "What if I join you in San Francisco? Meet your world." Ilya blinked, surprised. "You'd do that." It was a pivotal choice, challenging Robert's comfort zone. They discussed implications, family reactions, societal judgments. Robert's kids were mixed. His daughter supportive, son wary. Ilya's circle encouraged, but warned of age gaps, backgrounds. As reopenings commenced, chaos ensued. Lines snaked, tempers flared. A final confrontation. The earlier aggressor approached, apologizing half-heartedly. "Didn't mean offense." Ilya accepted graciously, Robert beaming. It symbolized growth, but underscored ongoing struggles. Media latched on, interviewing them as lockdown heroes. Ilya downplayed just humanity, but the spotlight amplified controversies. Critics labeled it agenda-pushing. Supporters celebrated inclusivity. Evening brought farewells to newfound friends, but Ilya and Robert lingered. "This changes everything," Ilya said. Robert agreed. "For the better." Their goodbye hug lingered, charged with possibility. As gates opened, they boarded separate paths, yet promised connection. The airport buzzed back to life on day 5, flights resuming amid cheers and sighs. Ilya and Robert exchanged numbers, vowing to stay in touch. Ilya flew to San Francisco, mind swirling with memories. Robert to Chicago, heart lighter. Weeks later, they reunited, Robert visiting Ilya's city, exploring Pride landmarks. Their relationship blossomed slowly, navigating challenges. Robert's family's initial shock, Ilya's friends' skepticism. Age difference matters? One asked. But mutual respect prevailed. Societal backlash hit. A viral article twisted their story, accusing exploitation of a veteran for gay agenda. Online trolls harassed, forcing Ilya to privatize social media. Robert defended publicly, "Love knows no labels." The controversy fueled debates on intergenerational relationships, veteran mental health, LGBTQ+ representation. Protests ensued, some supporting, others condemning. Ilya and Robert faced choices, retreat or advocate. They chose the latter, speaking at events, highlighting empathy's power. Highs and lows marked their journey. Robert's therapy sessions, aided by Ilya's career boost from publicity. Conflicts arose, Robert's conservative roots clashing with Ilya's activism. A heated argument over politics nearly ended it. "You can't change overnight," Ilya yelled. But reconciliation followed, strengthening bonds. Family integrations tested them. Robert's son warming gradually, Ilya's parents reaching out tentatively. Years passed, their story inspiring many. They built a life together, adopting a rescue dog, traveling. Yet questions lingered. Did society truly evolve? Backlash persisted, with laws fluctuating on rights. Their tale became a book, sparking discussions. In the end, Ilya reflected on that fateful day. A missed flight led to love, amid chaos. But was sacrificing personal plans for a stranger always the right choice? Or does it risk unintended consequences in a divided world?